أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم إلى يوم الدين. I congratulate all the believers for the birth anniversary of Lady Zainab salawatullah alayha, and which should be in the next few days. And truly it is a benefit to be here and to be able to talk about such a extraordinary lady in the history of Islam. As you know, Zainab comes from two words. Zain means adornment, and Ab comes from father. And therefore she is the adornment of her father. She attributed and received many of the attributes of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam and her mother, Lady Fatima salawatullah alayha, and her grandfather Rasulullah, and even in some of the books of history mentions her being similar to Lady Khadija. She was born on such a day. She was born in the 5th year of Hijrah, meaning that she was about 5 years old when she loses her mother. And when she was born, there are several hadith that talked about that the Prophet named her Zainab. It is said that Angel Jibreel brought this name from God. When the Prophet held her for the first time, it is said that he kissed her and said, I advise the present and the absent of my ummah to honor and respect this girl as she looks like Khadija. But how did they honor and respect her? Did they respect and honor her in the courts of Kufa, in Sham, and Syria? And these were advice of the Holy Prophet to honor her. She has many names and titles. One of her titles is Aqila of Bani Hashim, the wise woman of Bani Hashim. Also from Hadith we have Allamah ghayr mu'allama, the knowledgeable without being taught. Meaning that she has knowledge, but not like our knowledge. We have to go to school. We have to seek a teacher to learn. But she did not have a teacher. Her knowledge was knowledge that was from God. Or we have other titles of her in the books. She married Abdullah ibn Ja'far al-Tayyar. As you know, Ja'far al-Tayyar, or you might know, is one of the martyrs in the Battle of Mu'tah. His shrine is in present-day Jordan, and it still exists. It's a shrine, as far as I believe. And he was one of the great martyrs of Islam. You might have also heard of Salat al-Ja'far. So this is from her husband's side. And she married Abdullah, which was a very good person, a very generous person, a very wealthy and very generous person. And she had, in some of the books, mentions 4 sons: Ali, Aun, Abbas, and Muhammad. As far as we know, Aun and Muhammad were martyred in Karbala, and she had a Kulthum, a daughter. So therefore, she has a very lofty position, and we're going to talk a little bit about her. I like to mention, if you allow me tonight, about some of the position of Sayyida Zainab alayha salam from one of the scholars of Rijal by the name of Allamah Mamaqani. This is a scholar in Tanqih al Maqal that has a book of the narrators and has compiled the narrators. And he is a very pious person himself. He lived around, he's a contemporary scholar, And the words that he uses, and as you know, Rijal is known for men. It's just for men, or say narrators. But sometimes they'll use these books to also talk about very specific people. So let's listen to how one of our scholars that has, imagine, compiled the book, biographies of so many people, has read the biographies of so many people. What does he do when he comes across the biography of Lady Zainab? Very beautifully, he says, أقول زينب وما زينب وما أدراك ما زينب. It's like Surah Al-Qadr. No? In Zainab, and who is Zainab, for example? She has such a high position that we are unable to understand exactly who she was. Because it takes someone at the same level or higher level to understand, to be able to talk about someone that is from far below, wants to mention about a very high and lofty position of someone is very difficult. And then he continues. He mentions Hiya Aqila Bani Hashim. She's the wise woman of Bani Hashim. Lady Zainab, as you know, she was a teacher of Quran in Kufa. And the way that she spoke, and you incorporated verses of the Quran, and the way that the knowledge that she had, very similar to Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, the narrator say this, very similar to her mother, Lady Zahra sallallahu alayha. So you see that she is alama ghayra mu'allama, pure knowledge that she has. And this is from Al-Ihtijaj and Tabarsi, that he mentions that this is in the hadith from Ali ibn Hussein alayhi salam, that she has knowledge without being taught. Let's continue. What other attributes does Lady Zainab have? We go to the other attributes. وَقَدْ حَازَتْ مِنَ الصَّفَاتِ الْحَمِيدَةِ, and she possesses very praiseworthy positions. مَا لَمْ يَحُزُّهَا بَعْدَ أُمِّهَا أَحَدٍ, that after her mother, Seyed Abbas Zahra, nobody else had these positions. She is not just a normal believing woman. She is similar to her mother Zahra, who is Sayyidatun Nisa from Shia and Sunni sources. حتى حق أن يقال, Allamah Mamaqani says, هي الصديقة الصغرى. She is a Siddiqa, the honest. So she is the second version of Az-Zahra salawatullah alayha. Siddiq goes to a person whose speech and actions conform each other exactly. When we speak and the way that we act is much different. We say, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ, I only worship you, and we only worship you, and we only seek help from you. But our life is full of worship of others. Our life is full of seeking help from others and forgetting about God, the all-powerful God. But Lady Zainab was not like that. You saw that after especially her life in the battle of Ashura, in the event of Ashura, and afterwards, what she did and what she went through, and that she truly only sought help from Allah. She was a true muwahhida, and we'll talk about this. That her lifestyle was, the way that she lived was an embodiment of Tawheed, embodiment of the oneness of God. And when someone reaches such a level of Tawheed, Allah is great for them, is Adim. Allah is magnificent for them. And the creation is now not feared anymore, not something that someone has to be scared of or worried about, all those people in Kufa, all those people in Sham. So therefore, nobody was like her. Is the attributes she possessed, unless Sayyidah Fatima al Zahra sallallahu alayha. She's the second as-Siddiqa. هي في الحجاب والعفاف فريدة. And then Allamah Mamaqani continues, when it comes to hijab and ifaf, when it comes to covering herself, when it comes to modesty, she was unique. And then he says this, and this I know it is the birthday of Lady Zainab. Look at this sentence. He says, "Lam yara shakhsuha ahad." Nobody saw her min al-rajal. Nobody saw her fi zaman abiha wa akhawayha, from the time that Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam lived, and the honor that she had. And when Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein alayhi salam were present, nobody saw her, he says. Nobody saw her. Illa yawm al-taf, until the day of Taf, the day of Karbala. That was the day that the modesty of Lady Zainab, the hijab, she was not able, because of the situation, to protect it as it was protected before. وهي في الصبر والثبات وقوة الإيمان والتقوى وحيدة. And when it comes to patience and firmness and being in resistance, وقوة الإيمان, and the power of faith, she was unique. Nobody was like her. When you talk about Lady Zainab, on the day of Ashura, after the martyrs are buried, and you imagine what a scene that is. It is the day they say in the books of history that they had to spend that night in Karbala and they had to leave in the morning. And when they saw the bodies in the morning, they were waiting for her to have a reaction, to cry and to see what the damage they had inflicted to Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. And then she says this famous sentence, "Oh Allah, accept this humble sacrifice from us." Very firmly, very strongly, accept this humble sacrifice from us. She rescued Imam Sajjad several times from the court of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, and was very strong, and would mention that as long as I am alive, I do not let you kill him. This is the Holy Lady that tonight we are talking about her life. And when it came to, and all of these are a lesson for us, all of these, and we'll mention inshallah more lessons for ourselves, but when you look about these attributes of being Siddiq, of affirmation of speech and action, or confirmation, conformity of speech and action, hijab and modesty, that if we love Lady Zainab, we have to encourage the modesty and hijab in our communities, of our family members, of the sisters of themselves, even the brothers of themselves. They have to be afif. This quality of being modest is not limited just to sisters, of course, but everyone has to protect themselves. And being patient and firm in such time periods that we had. We had time periods where racism, Islamophobia is prevalent and was very prevalent more in the US because of the political situation. But alhamdulillah, these last years, the Muslimin were very firm, were very strong, alhamdulillah. And when it comes to her worship, it says, قُوَّةَ الْإِيمَانِ وَالتَّقْوَى وَحِيدًا. When it comes to her worship and her taqwa and piety, and fearing and being God conscious, fearing from sin, it says that she would worship at nights. She would worship Allah at nights. She never quit the tahajjud, the night prayer. She gave so much of her time in worshiping that they titled her the female worshipper of the family of Ali. And on the 10th and 11th of Muharram, after the martyrdom of her brothers and her children and many of her relatives, she did not abandon worship. Many people, when they're faced with big tragedies, big bala happen to them, many of them leave God. Many of them are tested. That is a test. It's very interesting. Her father, Amir al-Mu'mineen, there's a tradition that he mentions not to say bala, repel, just to do dua, that bala separates us. That is, of course, bala. We don't want bala happening. But maybe in a way we could say what's worse than this is bala that causes us to be misguided. That kind of bala that hurts us, harms us so much that we cannot take it anymore. We cannot bear it, and we become misguided. Or maybe, na'udhu billah, we show our reality, we show who we are. Great figures and great personalities show themselves in the most difficult of exams and tests and trials. If everything is good and everything is peaceful and everybody has things to eat and there's security, financial security, and you have time to pray, maybe everyone looks and acts the same. You can't really test someone. You test something when you put them in the most difficult of exams. In that hotness of the exams is a person that becomes pure and purified, or shows themselves, shows their worth. Lady Zainab showed herself in Ashura, mainly in Ashura. That is when people begin to shine in those tests. In the same way in our own lives. Sometimes you see some events happen to us that are not with what we want. We have huzn, and that's what huzn and ham is not reaching what you wanted to. Very obviously, Lady Zainab wanted her brother to be alive. She wanted her sons to be alive, her family members to be alive. She wanted the most important, higher than brother and family, is she wanted her Imam of the age to be alive. She was in love with the Imam of the age, which happened to be her brother, because they had gone through a lot together. She was 5 when she lost her mother, and Imam Ali alayhi salam was raising this family alone. And so she had a very good connection with her brother, Imam Hussein. But of course, she wanted him very obviously to stay. And she wanted to, you can imagine, on the day of Ashura, saying goodbye to Imam Hussein, how long she would want this last glare and last look at Imam Hussein to last. But when someone doesn't keep what they wanted or doesn't reach their desires, this causes huzn. This causes grief. This causes ham. This causes her to be ummul masa'ib, to be the mother of calamities. But does she, at such a time, does she give in? Does she lose her belief, na'udhu billah, or her reliance on Allah? No. She becomes stronger, and she doesn't know exactly what's going to happen in Kufa and Sham, but she has reliance on Allah. She has complete reliance. And that is when a person shows themselves in such exams and such tests. And we learn from Lady Zainab that in patience, in resistance, and when it comes to worship, that she would worship more. It is narrated that Imam Hussein alayhi salam, some of the books of history, told her that, "Oh, my sister, do not forget me in your night prayers." And some say that after those nights, even though she could not stand anymore for night prayers, she would do them sitting down, some say in the Maghatil. Therefore, when it comes to tests and trials and not reaching what we really want in our own lives, we have to take advantage of every opportunity with misfortunes, with any bala that happens, or with odds that are against us. Many times you'll notice there'll be great advantages. We have to take care of those advantages, seize the opportunity, to be very cautious to see that you are being tested by God, Allah. This is from Him. And a lot of times our actions, things that we cannot plan from ourselves, this happens to be maktub for us. It has to be written for us. We cannot plan anymore. There's no solution. We just have to have patience. We know then that this is when we will be tested, and we'll see if this bala for us will cause us elevation or not. Because bala brings great elevation. And you look at some of the hadith that talk about if a person knew how great this bala and these trials were, they wish they were cut with scissors. If we really knew how great it was. Not that you ever want that. You don't want that for yourselves. Never do dua for bad things that happen. You always say, "Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana." You want dunya and akhirah. So, dua we do in qunut is a dua that it is in the Quran. We want that. But know that if things don't exactly fall the way that you want, then it causes harm for you, causes grief for you. Know that you are being tested and there's good in it, there's khair in it. And sometimes you might not see that khair. We'll talk about later on how Lady Zainab saw that khair and that good in the way that Allah were to see this. When it comes to lecturing and speaking, we'll talk about, inshallah, a little bit about her life. وفي الفصاحة والبلاغة كأنها تفرع عن لسان أمير المؤمنين عليه السلام, as if she is a part of Amir al-Mu'mineen, separated part from Amir al-Mu'mineen when it comes to speaking. Another Nahj al-Balagha, a person that her speeches collected in Balaghat al-Nisa, which I believe is even a Sunni source, about some of the speech of the ladies in Islam. And her speech in Kufa is there. We'll mention some of it. Now, Allamah Mamaqani says this about her life. وَلَوْ قُلْنَا بِعِسْمَتِهَا لَمْ يَكُنْ لِأَحَدٍ أَنْ يُنْكَرْ إِنْ كَانَ عَارِفًا بِأَحْوَالِهَا فِي الطَّافِ وَمَا بَعْدَ. If we were to say that she is infallible, then nobody could deny this once they realize her status or her situation in the day of Karbala. That who else besides an infallible could have so much patience after Imam Hussein alayhi salam, or during the martyrdom. Some of the books of Maqatil mention this, that when every person was martyred, and they would bring them to the tents, she would rush, there to bring that body to help out. As you know, in some countries, the day of being a nurse is the day for Lady Zainab Salatullah alayha, and this is because of the role she played in taking care of the children, taking care of those that were injured or martyred. But you see that when Awn and Muhammad, it is said that when they were brought, they say that she did not come forward. She did not come forward because she did not want to embarrass Imam Hussein. She did not want Imam Hussein to see that a mother, her sister, has fallen on the body of her sons and is crying. She did not want to increase his pain. So you see, these are things that infallible people will do. And when we say 14 infallibles, those are titles we give to the 12 Imams, the Holy Prophet of Islam, and Lady Fatima. But there are other infallibles. We don't just limit them to 14 infallibles. We have, for example, in Qom, Lady Fatima al This title, al-Ma'suma, the infallible, is from Imam Ali, is attributed to him. Imam Rida is not just going to call just because it's his sister, he's not going to call her al-Ma'suma. How come he didn't call his other sisters al-Ma'suma? He's infallible himself. He's not just saying she's, very pure. There's significance to the speech of Ali ibn Musa. So we don't just say, we say, yes, there's 14 infallibles, but look at all the prophets. We say the prophets are sinless. All the prophets that came. This is part of the mission that they had. In general, those that come and they have such a mission from God, there has to be a level of infallibility. And then he says this to strengthen his argument. كيف ولولا ذلك لما حملها الحسين عليه السلام مقدارا من الثقل الإمامة أيام مرض السجاد عليه السلام. How could this not be true when Ali ibn Hussein was sick and that she was fulfilling some of the parts of Imamah? From Allamah Mamaqani. She was fulfilling some of the parts of Imamah. How can she not be infallible? When Ayatollah Khoi talks and says that she is Sharikatul Hussein alayhi salam, that she is the partner of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, how can she not be infallible? So we have such positions from Lady Zainab salawatullah alayha. And as you know, I'm sure you brothers and sisters are very happy at such occasions that such a lady was brought to this world. And it is an honor for us. It is an absolute honor. We are favored by God to have such people come to this world to guide us. Imagine if other people in other nations had such a lady like Lady Zainab, how much would they advertise and show and share her story in life? The world has much to learn from Lady Zainab, and it is truly an honor to be of the followers of her, to be the Zainab Yun, to be part of the followers of her father and her mother. It is a great place of honor for us. And as we know, when you love the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, and when you have nur of them and light, and your heart becomes filled with their light, and Allah tests you with faith, there's nothing sweeter, as we have in books like Basair al-Darajat. It's nothing sweeter than the love of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Imam Sadiq says, فَمَنْ عَرَفَ من أمة محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم واجب حق إمامه وجد طعم حلاوة إيمانه. And whoever has knowledge from the ummah of the Prophet of Islam, the obligation in terms of the duty and the right of the Imam, he will have the sweetness, he will taste the sweetness of faith. So these are areas when it comes to waladat, when it comes to the births, when it comes to martyrdoms of the Imams, these are places where, alhamdulillah, we are very happy that we are part of the followers of Ahlul Bayt, and it is sweetness of faith for us. Visiting Sayyidah Zainab, inshallah, for all of us, crying for her, remembering her, being happy when she is born. This is all sweetness of faith for us. Connecting yourself to such holy people is really sweet. Imagine an Islam that is just Quran. You just recite Quran is beautiful. You recite beautiful. But if you just take one part of religion and you don't take the other part, you just take Quran without Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, and you don't have those explanations, and you don't have that connection when it comes to Ashura, when it comes to the birth of Lady Zainab, or the birth of the Holy Prophet of Islam, that you attach yourselves to another human being because they are the representation of the Quran and they are the embodiment of Tawheed. So we see that, alhamdulillah, the sweetness of faith that we come to in Islam that is complete and has been, the Quran mentions, Al-Yawm Akmaltu Lakum Dinakum. So today I have completed your religion with Qadir. With Qadir, our religion has been completed. Without Ahlul Bayt, our religion will not be complete. Without Ahlul Bayt, the Quran will not be explained. Without Ahlul Bayt, that emotional side of Islam, which is connecting and crying, will not have been realized without Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Let's go to Kufa. In Kufa, listen the way that Lady Zainab's speech talks about, and the way that when she comes into Kufa, Bashir ibn Khuzaym mentions on that day, I looked at her, by Allah, I have never seen any proud and modest woman with that eloquence. It was as if she was talking with Ari's tongue. She told people to be silent. People became silent. Then it says, even the bells on the camels stopped jiggling. Some say this could be a type of tasarruf or command over the creation, that even the camels stopped jiggling, the bells on them, the bells on the camels. When she finished the sermon, Kufa was filled with emotion and sadness. Some people were nipping their fingers as a sign of regret and being shocked. After her sermon, there was a possibility of an uprising. Very interesting there, one of the things she does to the people of Kufa is that she tells them about their crime. May your cries never end and your tears never diminish, O people of Kufa, O you deceivers, O you who break your pledges and retreated back, you traitors. May your cries never end and your tears never diminish. They're crying for Imam Hussein alayhi salam now. They're crying for Imam Hussein. We always think sometimes, maybe if it wasn't for this speech, we wouldn't dare say something like this. But we always think that crying for Imam Hussein is always good. It is something good by itself. But not the tears of the Kufans. And this is what we want to get to at the end. The Kufans were crying for Imam Hussein. But Lady Zainab did not say, okay, taqabbal Allah, cry, and mashallah, let's have some majlis. No. Lady Zainab, the sister of Imam Hussein, now says, may your cries never end and your tears never diminish. You are like the woman who painstakingly and with great labor twines a strong rope and then herself unwinds it, thereby wasting her effort and energy. Your false pledges contain no element of truth and sincerity. Your tactic has become flattering the maids and nodding your heads in agreement to the enemies. She does not accept this type of crying for Imam Hussein. Brothers and sisters, this is at the end of tonight's majlis. We have about 4 minutes, and we'll inshallah get into some Q&A. That this is what Lady Zainab wants from us. Not just crying. Tears up for Imam Hussein by themselves are good. This is called mawdu'i. It's very beautiful. But it also is tariqi. It should take us somewhere. Being Husseini, being Zainabi means that all these things that I just mentioned, it leads you into these things, that your life changes with Lady Zainab. That when it comes, we call her infallible. She did not sin, so when we do not sin. When it comes to worship, she worshipped Allah. She did not fear anybody else but Allah. She was an embodiment of La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Therefore, we learn from this. When you look at her life, she is the embodiment of Tawheed, of monotheism. And with this very famous sentence, when told about what happened to her brother in Majlis of Ibn Ziyad, مَا رَأَيْتُ إِلَّا جَمِيلًا, that she sees that there is nothing, I've seen nothing but greatness, but beauty. Why? Because she sees, we could say, Tawheed. Karbala is not separate than Tawheed. Karbala is Tawheed. It is sacrificing and showing Allah that you worship Him only, that you do not worship anybody else. And that is the highest levels of irfan. That al-aghyar, anything else from your heart but Allah is taken out. I did not see anything else. I only saw Tawheed, we could say. I only saw the oneness of God. I only saw the worship of Allah in Karbala. It becomes one of the greatest actions of humanity, Karbala. Something that the Prophet of Islam, Ahlul Bayt, all participated in its making, and the Imams preserved it. It becomes the best action. Therefore, when we want to become Zainabi, when you want to please Lady Zainab, it's not just crying for her brother Imam Hussein, like the Kufans. It's about realizing and being ready to do what the companions of Imam Hussein alayhi salam did for your Imam, for Imam Mahdi. To be Mahdawi, to be a follower of Imam Mahdi, day and night to remember Imam Mahdi. This means to be, someone that Lady Zainab salawatullah alayha likes. And as she said, we mentioned, when she crossed the bodies of the martyrs, Allahumma taqabbal minna hadha al-qurban, accept from us this sacrifice. This is the embodiment of Tawheed, that brothers and sisters, if we follow the path of Lady Zainab, which is the path of modesty, the path of knowledge, and at the end, the path of submission, al-Islam huwa taslim. Islam, Imam Ali says, is submission to God, submission against what our nafs, fighting against what our nafs and desires want, and changing our desires into only purely what God wants. This is becoming Zainabi, inshallah.